Hey guys, what's up? I'm Bhushan Gaikwad and I'm welcoming you to the very first tech meetup organized by Eastern Enterprise. And though it is very first, it is going to be a series of meetups. So please be sure to subscribe to this channel so you get the notifications of upcoming meetups. Organizing such a meetups is not an easy task. It requires a team effort, and that's why I would like to thank our speakers. I would like to give special thanks to Srirang and Akshay to volunteer this meetup. Now, coming back to the today's meetup, we have amazing speakers like Tom and Nishant. Tom is going to talk about open source, and Nishant is going to talk about Swoole. And while watching these talks, please pay close attention because at the end you have surprise. Okay, so at the end we will have quiz, and one of the quiz winner we will select it one of the quiz winners, and you will get a surprise reward. And at the end, just a humble request. As of now, that no one is perfect in this world, we would like to be as close as possible to the perfection, so that we will be sharing our one feedback link, and we would really appreciate that you provide feedback so that we can come up with more interesting talks in the future. So let me share the feedback link with you. Give me a second. Uh, Let me go to the chats. Yeah, hi Manish. Okay, so uh, this link is in Markdown. We are developers. Okay, so this is the link. Okay, and you can see this link in the somewhere here actually here. Okay, yeah. Now, also, please don't forget to share your questions in the chat while doing the talks or watching the talks. Our volunteers are continuously capturing these questions so we can answer them at the end of the Q&A round. And to be honest, I'm really feeling proud and thankful that Eastern Enterprise organized this meetup. And to talk a little bit more about it, I would like you to introduce Krish. So here comes the Krish. Let me add Krish.
Hello
Yep.
everyone.
Hi, Krish.
Hello everyone. Hello Bhushan.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good as well. Yeah, how are you feeling?
Well, it's quite exciting, speaking
Yeah,
on
actually,
screen
it is
and
exciting. So I was a
get,
little bit nervous, and then now it's full of excitement right now. Yeah,
indeed, it's quite a good feeling when speaking on screen and people are watching you, listening you, and yeah,
yeah,
looking forward for a good successful meetup.
yeah, sure. So let's take over, and I'll give you the controls, and you should be able to take control right now. So you can share your screen.
Thank you, Bhushan. I will just share my screen now.
Yeah, good vibes. Yes, Sagar. Nice to meet you,
Okay,
man.
so I hope you guys can see my screen, Bhushan.
Yep.
All right, so I'll start then. Hello, everyone. My name is Krish Damani, and I'm working as a technical architect with this enterprise. I have a total experience of around 9+ years now, and specific with this enterprise, I have been working for around 7 years now. Initially, I started my journey as a junior software developer with this enterprise, and gradually through various learnings and various exposures towards trending technologies, different types of trainings, I am now on a technical architect role being with this enterprise for so long time, so it's always excited to know like what makes me to stay with this enterprise for such a long time. And to answer these, I would say the focus towards the quality in this enterprise, people are really much focused towards the quality. Quality comes as the first aspect while putting any deliveries to the client. And when saying quality, so I just don't mean the functional quality but the technical quality itself. And apart from quality, like it's a Dutch culture, there is dynamism, motivation, exposure towards the trending technologies, and of course the flexible working environment. Talking about my skills, I'm quite good at PHP and its several frameworks like Laravel, Symfony, Zen framework. I have a good exposure towards design patterns and its principles, different types of application architectures. I'm very fan of writing test cases, following TDD approach, as it really helps in making the system robust and more or less bug free. So this is all about my skills. Talking about my hobbies, I'm quite foodie, so I love food. I like to play around with the new technologies, playing carom, table tennis, and of course, you can always contact me anytime on my LinkedIn profile, that is Krish Damani, and on my email, that is k.damani@istenterprise.com. I'll be talking more about now East Enterprise, from where it came from, what is it, how it works. So in East Enterprise, we always say that your attitude and not your aptitude will determine your altitude. So we believe for a person, the right attitude, right mindset are the key aspects in order to shine or grow in the organization. So we at East Enterprise, we always believe that if a person having the right mindset, a right attitude, a grasping power, then knowledge can always be gained or trained or taught upon. This is all about our journey. We basically started in 2003 in Hengelo, Netherlands. Marco Fredriksson and Shweta Lodaya are married to each other. They are co-founder of the company. We initially worked with companies like Sybase, and gradually in around 2009, we established our own unit called Usten. And then, yeah, the journey remained quite exciting and quite interesting. We generally work with startups and small and medium enterprises, and our focus is mainly being towards the west of Europe. When saying west of Europe, so like Netherlands being our home country, of course, Germany, Poland, Finland, Sweden. So we keep growing on those regions, geographical regions, and yeah, this is how our journey has been. It has been quite exciting, of course, like I said, and we are quite an international team with regards to the team. So we are quite an international team. So we have our development center in Pune. We have developers from Egypt, Romania. Our sales team is spread across Netherlands, Sweden. And with regards to our work model, we are working in an quite a service-based organization. So basically, we work with Dutch clients. We develop their products. We coordinate with them. We develop their products in a quite agile and dedicated manner. And with this, we are growing really rapidly. So we are 250 now at this point of time, and by the end of the year, this year, we are expecting to reach 300, of course. So this is all about our journey. This is all about growth, what we are foreseeing in the near future, what we are expecting to be in near future. So by 2025, we expect to be almost double than what we are now, with almost 40% increase in the client, with expanding the focus towards 6+ European countries. We of course have some Swedish clients coming in, approaching us, and yeah, we'll be continuing ourselves approaching towards those geographical regions in the Western Europe. And yeah, we have a hybrid way of working. So being in this pandemic, it's always not easy to be physically available in the office. So we have a hybrid environment where people are working remotely, and we are quite comfortable with this environment now, and we are quite enjoying it. So we are proud of this environment. These are all our values. We are agile, we are adaptive, we are dynamic, we believe in moving quickly, and we are extremely flexible. We are more focused towards the result oriented, and we believe in getting things done. We are simple in nature, so we believe keeping things simple and straightforward, to the point. We are more into the Dutch culture. So let's say if someone has goofed up, then goofed up. We believe in giving the straightforward feedbacks itself, and we don't believe in giving the feedbacks more on based on the intuition or gut feelings. So saying so I would say we are data driven organization as well. We keep measuring each and every data sets. When I'm saying so, by data sets I mean like we measure functional quality, we measure code quality, we keep assessing people on those data sets, and we keep giving them the regular feedbacks on those data sets, so that they can improve, they can grow, they can upgrade. We are quite lean and mean in nature. So saying we always believe in optimizing ourselves and optimizing our day-to-day activities which we do for our clients, the values we add to our clients. And this way I would really say that we are quite lean and mean in nature. I would say our word is our bond. So we are really a reliable partner when it comes across the client and the promises we made to our internal team. And that is why we always say that we are a team first and a company second. So these are all our values, guys. Talking about the verticals where we work on, so these are all the verticals where we work upon. So travel tech being one of the biggest tech domain on which we have been working for many years now, and we always keep adding the verticals every year. So as an individual, it won't be boring for any individual, because we always keep ourselves evolving to the verticals, exploring new verticals, and keep adding them, and of course growing on those verticals slowly and slowly as we speak. Well, these are all our clients. Of course, there are many much more, but due to NDA, I cannot disclose their names in the public domain. So I would say these are some of our clients who are working with us since quite a long time, and they are quite satisfied with us. Axi being the topmost client out of it, and yeah, we are working with Axi since quite long. V Advisor is also one of those clients. So we are working with these clients in quite a long time. We keep adding values to their product. We provide excellence toward the digital arena, and we keep evolving their products, building their products in an agile and dedicated manner. This is our culture, I would say. Talking about the culture, so we have quite flexible working hours. We have amazing work-life balance. We focus strongly on the training and the development. And I would say we are really lateral in the sense we are flat organization. So anyone can come up and approach to our co-founders anytime in case of any queries or any concerns. And we believe in communicating openly, and we believe in communicating with each other neutrally, to the point, and of course in a constructive manner. Like I said, we are literally lateral, so we just have only three bands: operations, leads, and management. Saying so, only three bands, so anyone can move from any bands. And of course, also we always believe in giving the opportunities internally first. We believe in training the teams. We believe in helping each other to grow each in an inclined curve. And yeah, this is how we have all these bands. And so that, for example, a developer can be a senior developer, can be a tech lead, a business analyst can be a QAs, and so on. And that is why I would like to say that we always believe in filling all these positions internally. And of course, if we can't fill it internally, then we look outside. And as a reason, you can see here that a senior Android developer is now the quality head, been working with this enterprise for more than 10 years now. A junior project manager, being the CMO of the company. And yeah, this is how we believe in moving from one band to another band. And we have PDPs defined internally for people to grow as the company grows as well. So yeah, it helps people to grow, and it helps us as well to fill these positions internally. It's all about a complete different vibe altogether. So we are more in a young organization. We have diverse millennium workforce, and we believe in giving feedback straightforward. We have flexible working hours. We are working with Dutch and German clients. It's quite a technology even, saying so technology even, so because we work on different types of trending technologies, saying so, like let's say Angular 9, React Native. In mobile development, we work on Flutter, and we work on PHP and its latest versions, of course, and several frameworks as well, like Symfony, Laravel, Zen, of course its latest version as well. We also work on Golang and Python, and yeah, we have quite good projects running in Golang and Python. We also we are quite cool in giving recreations to our people, so that anyone in the team can go for 1 week to a remote location, maybe like Kerala, Leh, or Manali, and can work from there for 1 week. So we have already kickstarted digital nomadism, and as soon as this pandemic ends, so we will roll it out to our employees as well. And yeah, this is how our vibe is all together. We have, of course, annual Goa trips where people all together gather with each other, and gather on a beach in Goa, and dance with each other. And we also invite clients on for such these events, and yeah, it's quite a gala event for us. So this is all about vibes, and talking and looking at all these vibes. So I would really say that we are quite different than other Indian IT companies in terms of all these aspects. And yeah, so this is all about East Enterprise in a nutshell. If you feel you or your peers are really want to grow, want to get good exposures towards the technology, want to add values to the company, then I would say East Enterprise is really a best place to work at. And thank you. So this is all about East Enterprise, and please stay tuned, and I hope you will enjoy the further talks as well. So thank you.
Hey, that was really informative actually. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
indeed.
talked about like work from home, Egypt, Romania, right? So are you enjoying work from home? Like,
Yeah, it's quite exciting, Bhushan, to be honest.
yeah,
When we are, we are working remotely, and and all of a sudden you don't see your colleagues on face to face, and you start
mhm.
talking to them on video calls. So it's quite exciting, and now we are quite comfortable and proud of this environment as well, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Initially it was difficult, but later we just used to it, right?
Yeah, true,
Yep.
true,
So
indeed.
thank you so much, Krish, for sharing this
Thank you,
information.
Bhushan.
It would really help our viewers to understand what Eastern Enterprise is. And yeah, let's connect back at the Q&A round. Yep.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, guys. Back again. So now moving forward, let's welcome our first speaker. Let me add our first speaker. Hey, Nishant.
Yeah, hi Bhushan. How are
Yeah.
you?
Hi. How are you?
Yes, yes, I'm also doing good. Thanks.
Yeah. Good. Good.
Yeah.
Excited?
Yes, yes, definitely. I'm very excited. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's like pumping up, right? So it's
Yes,
like blood in the veins, and it is just going fastly. Yeah,
yes, yes, definitely.
yeah. Okay, so you are going to talk about Swoole, right?
Yes. Today
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Swoole. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So like, why Swoole? Why you choose Swoole?
Yes, because if we want to achieve async programming in PHP,
Mm-hmm.
then it can be a difficult task for us. Right. Apart from that, if we want to build a large-scale concurrent system, okay, then we cannot think about the stateless nature of PHP FPM. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in short, I can say that Swoole is a complete solution for async programming for PHP. So that's why I chose it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it is really interesting, and it
Yeah.
would be like so much informative if I learn something
Yes. Yes.
in the your presentation. So guys, please be good. Please pay good attention to this talk, and because we have surprise at the end, so
Yes.
please uh, pay attention. Okay. So now, Nishant, you should be able to share the screen, and
Yes.
then take it away, man.
Okay. So I'm sharing my screen.
Yep. Uh, okay. Now here is your
Okay.
screen,
Yes.
and
Okay.
I'm going off. Okay. So
Yeah.
stage is
Okay.
yours. Yep.
Yes. Okay.
We cannot see you, Nishant.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Now is it fine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Cool.
Okay.
Yep. So
So
stage is
let's
yours.
start.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So hello guys. Today I will talk about Swoole, how it works internally, how it improves the performance of your PHP application, and many more about it. Okay. So before starting, let me introduce myself. My name is Nishant Soni. Currently, I'm working as a team lead at Stern Enterprise. I'm experienced in almost all the aspects of software development lifecycle, using test-driven development and BDD as well. Right now, I'm using domain-driven development technique for my current project development. I'm working on PHP from last 6 years, but in my free time, I like to play around Python by creating small games and small applications. Why I prefer to work with Eastern Enterprise? Because here we follow all the coding standards, coding principles, and other best practices for software development, so that the software will be highly maintainable and manageable. Okay, here you will get opportunities to work in the multiple domains as well as multiple technologies. I'm working on Swoole from last 3 to 4 months, and my project in which I'm working that is running on Nginx plus PHP FPM. But I have created a new environment in which my application is running on Swoole server. Currently, it is in testing phase, and approximately 90% testing is done. And I'm really very confident and really very excited to say that you should also move to Swoole server if you want better performance and async programming. Okay, so let's go ahead. So today we will talk about the agenda for today. Following things we will cover: how it improves the performance of your PHP application, how Swoole works internally, and why we should move to Swoole instead of Nginx and PHP FPM. Okay. Following things we will not cover in this session, like how to run your PHP application on Swoole, how to install Swoole, and how to achieve async programming, because these things can be easily found on the official documentation. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and we will discuss about the features of Swoole. Okay, so as I already said that it supports async programming, it supports TCP and UDP server side protocols. It is written in C and C++. It is a multi-process and multi-thread structure. It supports daemon. So what is daemon? So daemon is something like a process which runs in a background just to increase the performance. Okay, now uh, let's talk about PHP without Swoole. Okay, so achieving asynchronous programming in PHP can be a difficult task. So if we want to develop a product in which there is a there is a requirement of async programming, then the first thought is about Node.js or Golang. But is it possible in PHP? Yes, definitely it is possible. So there are some technologies like Swoole that can help to achieve asynchronous programming in PHP. Okay, so let's discuss more about it. Okay, most of the developers are aware about the famous C10K problem. Okay, so if we want to build a large-scale concurrent system, and that system needs to manage more than 10,000 concurrent connections, to achieve this type of functionality, we cannot think about the stateless nature of PHP FPM. Okay, even if we want to build a system with the modern web protocols like WebSockets, which requires to establish connections with every user and sending and receiving data in real time. So for this, PHP FPM's stateless nature cannot be an ideal solution. So we can achieve all these things by using a modern technology like Swoole. Okay. So what is Swoole? As I already said that by using Swoole we can achieve async programming. Okay. So according to the official definition, it is a production grade async programming framework for PHP, which enables PHP developers to write high performance, scalable, and concurrent code. It is available as PHP extension, which is written in C and C++. Yeah. It is available. We can also say that it is a high performance networking framework that is based on the following programming model. So first thing is event driven, second is asynchronous, and third is non-blocking IO. So I mentioned these three things: event driven, asynchronous, and non-blocking IO. So definitely we will cover these three things in detail in upcoming slides. Okay, and it is mainly designed for large scale concurrent system. Okay, now uh, in short, I can say that Swoole is used to improve the performance of your PHP application. But here the question is how it improves the performance of your PHP application. Definitely, we will understand it in more detail in upcoming slides. Okay. So we will talk about the architecture of Swoole. So this is a very high level architecture in which there is a master, there is a reactor, there is a manager, and there is a worker. Worker or task worker, both are same. So master. So master is the main entry point of the Swoole server. Reactor. Reactor is used to manage the user traffic. Okay. And manager. Manager is responsible to create and delete workers. Okay. So this is a very high level architecture of Swoole. Okay. So let me repeat it. So master. Master is the main entry point of the Swoole server. Reactor. It is created by master to manage the client side network or user traffic. Okay, then there is a manager. manager is responsible to create and delete workers. Okay, and what is a worker? So worker where the entire code executes. So I hope you guys understand all these things. Okay, so now let's go into the depth of Swoole. Now, how it solves the problem of IO blocking and how it improves the performance of your PHP application. So that is the main questions, and we will understand it. So first, let's understand what is IO block. Okay, so this is a request and it is coming to the web server. Okay, now first consider this green color box as a running process. It means here it is checking the connection between the database, or it is checking the connection of Redis server. In short, we can consider this green color box as the application is loading or bootstrapping here in the green color box. So once it is completed, request goes ahead. Now consider this black color box is doing some heavy operation. Okay, like it is getting some data from third party, it is fetching records from the database, which means this process is completely blocked for some time. Okay, so once this heavy operation will be completed, after that the process will be continued. Okay, so here on each request there is a time consuming blocking. Okay, so the problem of IO blocking will be solved by the Swoole. Okay, so whenever the heavy operation is performed, then Swoole creates a separate worker for this heavy operation. Okay, so I hope you guys understood this IO block. Okay, so now let's understand it in more detail. Okay, so here these are some requests which is handled by the event loop. Okay, so whenever request goes to server, event loop is responsible to create the workers for the heavy operation based on the user traffic. Okay, so in this way we can achieve the concurrency by creating multiple workers. Okay, so here one important thing to be noticed is that whenever this worker completes its job, then it will be deleted completely from the memory. So here there is no need to worry about the memory consumed by the worker. So whenever worker job is finished, worker will be deleted and the memory will be released. Okay, so in this way we can in this way it solves the problem of IO blocking. Now the second question is how it improves the performance of your PHP application. Okay, so let's understand it. Uh, I think everyone are aware about the PHP basic lifecycle. So here is a request coming to the server, then PHP file is going to verified, parsed, and compiled, and finally it is sent to the CPU for the execution. So this is a basic life cycle of PHP. Now let's go in more detail. Okay, so whenever request to the web server, server maps domain to the application into the hard disk. Now it loads application in the memory, and finally code is sent to the CPU for the execution. Okay, as you can see that it happens in every request. I mean to say that on each request server will map domain to the application, then application is loaded into the memory. Okay, and then code is executed. So is there any way to reduce these steps? I mean to say that every time application is loaded into the memory, so is it possible to load application into the memory only once? Okay, so yes, definitely. So what Swoole does? So whenever Swoole server is started, it preloads application directly into the memory in this way. Okay, and each request are served from the memory, so there is no need to load application in the memory every time. It means our application will be bootstrapped only once. So in this way, it improves the performance of your PHP application. So I think for a PHP developer, it is a great change, especially thinking about the request life cycle. Okay, but there is one problem here. Okay, so what is the problem? Whenever you change anything in your code, then you deploy your code to the production server or any server. Okay, now your code will not be reflected on the server. Okay, so why? What is the problem? So in general programming way, what happens, like we develop new features or we change anything in the existing code, then we deploy our code to the production server and code is reflected on the server. But since I explained in the previous slide that when you start the Swoole server, when you start the Swoole server, then it preloads your application in the memory. So all the requests are served from the memory. So that's why your code will not be reflected. When you deploy a code to the server, then you must restart your server. Okay. So that is the solution for this. Now, another drawback of Swoole is since async programming is achieved by coroutines. So coroutine is like a feature which is provided by Swoole to achieve asynchronous programming, and it does not support X debugger. So debugging can be a challenge. So what is the solution for this? So the solution is we need to get comfortable with logging. So it means if we are familiar with logging, then there is no problem. Okay. Another solution is YASD. So it is another tool which is provided by Swoole for the replacement of X debugger. So instead of X debugger, you can use YASD, yet another Swoole debugger. Okay. Now let's check the benchmarking. Okay. So here it is a data collected from internet, and if your application is running on PHP FPM, then it can be able to handle approx 25,000 requests per second. Okay, but if your application is running on Swoole, then it will be able to handle 65,000 requests per second approx. Okay, so this is a benchmarking for Swoole and PHP FPM. Now let's check the real-time benchmarking. Okay, so the previous data we collected from internet, but now we will check the real-time application. Okay, so you can see my screen. Okay, so we will use WRK. So WRK is a HTTP benchmarking tool which is used to check the performance of your server. Okay, so we will use WRK. You can install it on your machine. Okay, so as I can see that I'm writing WRK. Okay, so you can see one and from D, yes, and this is my application which is running on Swoole server. Okay, so as I can see that what is happening here. Okay, so here as you can see that this is running the benchmark for 30 seconds using 4 threads and keeping 100 HTTP connections open. So uh, it is requesting to a particular uh, URL, and now the data will be fetched. So let's wait for some time. Okay, so now you can see that my application which is running on PHP FPM is able to handle 38 requests per second. Okay, but if my application is running on Swoole server, so let's do it again. You can see 4 threads with 30 seconds and 0. Okay, so here my application is running on Swoole server on this URL. So now I'm getting the data for this application. So let's check what is this. Okay, so let's wait for some time. It is getting the data. Okay, so now my application is running on Swoole server, and here the same application is able to handle 327 requests per second. So this is a huge difference between the Swoole and PHP Nginx. Okay, there is one another important thing which I want to tell you. If you want to run your application behind Nginx as a proxy, okay, then I will show you that and that step. Okay, so here you can see that my application is running on the PHP FPM, but if you want to run it on Swoole server behind Nginx as a proxy, then you can provide the proxy pass and the URL which is running on the Swoole server. So all the requests will go to the Swoole server instead of Nginx. So this is what I wanted to show you. Okay, so let's come back. Okay. So in this way, you can run your application on Swoole server behind Nginx as a proxy. Okay. So now final thoughts. So there are many benefits of Swoole as well as there are some downsides also. It is already proven in high traffic production environment. It is a technology that we can definitely rely on. Okay, so we have covered the following topics. What is Swoole? Swoole architecture, how it solves the problem of IO blocking, and how it improves the performance of your PHP application. And we also discussed about drawbacks and its solutions. Okay, so what is next? So next is a practical implementation. Okay, since it is not possible to cover everything in a limited time. Okay, so I have prepared a blog in which I have written all the steps to run your application on Swoole server. So I am commenting that link, that blog link, in the comment section, and you can go through it. Okay, so thank you guys. If you have any question, then definitely you can comment in the comment box. I will check and I will reply. Okay, so thank you guys.
Hey,
Yeah,
hi.
yeah,
It was very informative.
yeah,
I actually didn't know about like YASD, right? So yet another
yeah.
Swoole debugger. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes,
I need to
right.
check that. Yeah,
Yes,
definitely I
yes,
need to check
definitely.
that.
Yeah,
And it is 10 times faster. Yeah, that's
yes,
cool.
approx. Yeah,
That's really a huge improvement.
yes. So that's why we should, move to the Swoole server instead of Nginx plus PHP FPM
Okay, are there
according to
any
the requirement.
alternatives we can use? Because like I love Laravel, so is
Hmm.
there anything we can use in Laravel?
Yes, the alternative of Laravel, I mean, Swoole is Roadrunner. So we can also
Uh-huh.
use Roadrunner. So Roadrunner is same as Swoole, but it is developed in Golang, but
Uh-huh.
Swoole is developed in C. So there is
Uh-huh.
a, yeah,
Okay, there is a slight difference in the language. So
yes,
general
yes,
language.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So it was really nice. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
we have one question from Tiwin.
Mhm. Yeah, just a
Tiwin.
minute.
Sorry if I pronounce it wrongly.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. But he has a few questions. Pushpak also has a few questions. We'll
Mhm.
discuss this at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for your
Yeah, yeah,
questions.
definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please don't forget to shoot your questions in the chat.
Yeah.
There are volunteers who are monitoring this, and we will get these questions jotted, and at the end in the Q&A round, we will try to discuss the things as we can. Yep.
Yes, yes, definitely. Okay.
Okay. Also, please don't forget to share the feedback form. Like in the feedback form, please try to share your feedback, and it will be really helpful for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Nishant, it was
Yeah.
really
Thank
informative.
you.
I learned many new things. Yeah, and
Thank
I
you.
need to check,
Thank
like
you,
it's in
Rishabh.
my to-do list now, so I need to
Yeah.
check that debugger, which is that full debugger, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, man.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you. Bye bye. Yeah.
yep, yep. See you at the Q&A round.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's move forward and let's welcome our next speaker. Oh, Tom. Yep. Hi, man. Yeah, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted, Tom.
Sorry. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Bushan.
Yep. Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm fine. Looking forward for my talk. And
Uh-huh. Excited?
yeah, excited. Not nervous at all because it's a passion topic. So
Actually, it is close to my heart as well. So it's open source. We do a lot of open source, and we love it. Hopefully, surely, actually, not hopefully, we will surely learn many things in the talk, and your journey will be really helpful for us. Yeah. Okay, and may I know why you choose this topic? Is it close to you? What particular reason? So open door with open source.
So open source is close to me because, in fact, it made my career. So my whole career is based on open source. And I know it's not a one-time story. So I know quite a few others who at least get benefits by contributing to open source in their career. And I also made a project named openda.me. We'll also talk a bit about in my real talk. And it will help to showcase your open source work to others who don't really or other. GitHub itself isn't the best way to find things you have contributed to open source, because GitHub just shows this timeline, not well structured, not always in chronological order, and so on. And it's also not what a recruiter, for example, searches for. So a recruiter wants to see, okay, he has contributed to so many open source projects in PHP or Go or whatever languages, and this is what openda.me does. We aggregate all of these stats and showcase them in a LinkedIn way.
Yeah, actually, it is really helpful. So I've used it, and I'm the one of the top 10 users. I subscribe to this open door, and I was a user, one of the top 10 people. Yeah, so it's really cool. And yeah, so ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay, so you should be able to share the screen.
Yeah.
And let's take it away, man. Yep. Best of luck.
Okay.
Thanks. Yep.
So I'm talking about open source and how open source can open doors. And yeah, so the slogan is based on my project, openda.me. You can see it in the top. And a bit about me. So I'm a founder of Astrotomic, an open source organization, and also founded the project openda.me. In my main day job, I'm a software engineer at Frische Post. We send local, fresh farmer products to your home. And you can see some of my social profiles if you want to get in touch with me after my talk, ask any questions or whatever. So open source made my career. I already said this in the introduction with Bhushan, and how this was possible is that I started to do programming in my day job in 2013, and got really professional in 2015. And back then, I also started with Laravel and checked out the first sparsity packages and found missing features or small typos, for example, in the README. Small bugs I fixed or behavior changes I wanted. And this was my way to open source. So I was in need of any feature. I found a package that does a similar thing. And I asked the maintainer if it's in their mind if I add this new feature or fix an existing one or something like that. And yeah, now 7 years later, I'm maintainer of several sparsity packages. I have founded my own open source organization, created openda.me, and the whole open source history changed my career to positive. So every company, for example, I've worked for have at least heard of me from any GitHub issues projects or something like that. Most of them have used projects I have contributed or even maintained. So it's a massive door opener if you go to the company and can say, hey, you already use my code. So I have some idea of your project. And yeah, with openda.me, I want to give back to the open source community, so everyone can have this possibilities and can find their way through open source to better jobs, for example, or even their dream jobs. And one part of it is to showcase your open source work to recruiters, headhunters, tech leads, and so on in an understandable way. So this is a screenshot of opena.me. You can see on the top, you have a list of all the languages I have used, and a short paragraph with all the information normal recruiters also need. And below there's a list of all the repositories you have contributed to. So are you ready to contribute to open source? I hope you are, because now we will get into possibilities, how you can contribute and what you have to do. So how or who can contribute to open source? In a short answer, nearly everyone, or even really everyone. So independent of your skill set, if you are an artist, a texter, developer, speaker, or only a user with, for example, some money or some testing capacity, everyone can contribute to open source. So texters can fix typos, for example, in the docs, or improve the language. So not every maintainer is a native English speaker. You can also add translations to documentations of famous packages if you know a language which isn't available yet. You can also improve the documentation itself. You can write blog posts about the package or open source software at all, how to use it. If you have found some cool ways to add it to your software and do some things possibly even the maintainer had in mind with it, and stuff like that. So as an artist, most packages are only the code, because most packages are created by developers. And yeah, most developers aren't great artists to design things also. So there are developers who are able to do so, but most times there isn't a great image, open graph image, banners on the README, great layout for documentation, for example, and stuff like this. So even as an artist, you can provide to open source. As a developer, for sure, you can add features, fixes, create your own packages and apps and so on. So this is the most known part of open source as a developer. As a speaker, I've named it. You can create tutorials as a YouTube kind of thing. You can give talks on meetups, conferences, or something like that. And you can also create courses, video courses, or speak on a podcast about this open source stuff. And I've named it testers, so there are professional testers. And also every single user of the package is kind of a tester, because you use it, so you test that it works like you expected. And you can for sure provide automated tests. So most packages come with at least a kind of test suite, not always 100% coverage or all different cases. And you can also do manual testing, because automated testing is great, but manual testing still covers things you are harder with automated testing, at least. And so way to a pull request. So first thing for sure, find an idea to do what you want to do. So like add a new feature, fixing a bug, adding an open graph image to the repository, or whatever you want to do. Next step is to check the guidelines. So some packages have contribution guidelines, which define in which order you have to do things, if you have to ask the maintainer at first, or can straight go to the pull request, and which questions you have to answer by providing an issue or a pull request. Depending on this, it is required, and if not, I still recommend it to communicate that you want to work on it. So there's nothing worse than two people working on the same thing. No one of these has communicated it, and the maintainer has to decide which pull requests they accept now. because both color the same features, most times in different ways. And if you say, I want to do this, the maintainer knows it, everyone else coming to this issue knows it. So everyone knows, okay, this task is already done by someone. And the maintainer has also an idea, okay, now a week, a month, whatever is over, have a quick ask how it's doing, if they still are working on it, if there was something in between, and yeah, to organize it like at your company. And yeah, next one is I would wait a few days for feedback. So if the maintainer says no, don't do it, we already have someone, or I don't want it to be merged now in it because I'm working on something huge, different, and possibly also say, or more likely, like, yeah, go ahead and I want to merge it. So wait for some feedback, and if there is no feedback after 1 or 2 days, you can for sure work on it, depending on what it is. So after this, you work on it, you create your pull your diff. So most open source is based on Git. And next step is to open or start to create your pull request. And the first thing is that you should check the diff view, so the difference between the real repository you want to pull request to and your changes. So what has changed? Is everything really needed? Are there any dumps, for example, still in the code, or are there any additional files you don't want to be in? Have you forgotten to remove some passwords or whatever? And yeah, check your code, like the first review of your code. The next one is that you should always write a proper description in the pull request. So what have you solved, added to the repository with this pull request? And it doesn't have to be a long description, but yeah, on point descriptive with some usage examples, for example, in it. And next one is, yeah, open the pull request. Then the maintainers or any other people will review it and possibly have some change requests. So you should take care of these change requests. It could be that you defend your code, like, yeah, you said that I should or could possibly change this, but I say this is good because of this and this and this reason. And if the maintainer still says you have to change it, then you can decide if you want to say, okay, then I don't want to proceed, or if you change it and adjust it to the maintainer needs. And yeah, after the pull request is merged, it's time to fill off some, because it was your first contribution or second or 100th or whatever to open source, and you can share it on Twitter, in your blog, or whatever. So there's also a bit more longer and descriptive article by Patrick, and here's a link to his dev2 article, and it's named altering great pull requests, has 10 points to it. So having a good basis for a pull request limits the scope. You don't send a pull request like, I've refactored your whole package and here's a pull request. I've changed 100 files and 20,000 lines of code. So it's a bad pull request. Always limits the scope to this specific topic you want to care about. Then, like say, review your code you own. Yeah, commit history should not contain 20 commits like work in progress, but have descriptive commit messages. And you can also, at the end of your work, stash commits, for example, and reduce your history. Include automated tests, yes. So there's nothing worse than getting new features in your open source package as a maintainer, which aren't tested, so you don't know when in the future they will break, or you have to write these tests your own. So always add a test if you add a feature or fix to prevent this bug in the future as well. Yeah, take responsibility for your changes. So like, and follow the author's lead. So this was the point with the change requests. descriptive title and description. If you're great and stay engaged, don't drop the pull request and go off GitHub forever. Always have an eye on it. You can ping the maintainer for a request if they haven't responded for a week or something like that. And always be kind with it, because you don't know what is the reason why a maintainer doesn't respond. So they can have private problems, they be on holidays, just don't have any time, which is also a fine reason. And yeah, sorry, this was a bit too quick. But next point is Hacktoberfest. So this meetup comes in perfect time for Hacktoberfest. So in 2 days or 1.5, you can start with creating pull requests in open source repositories and getting them accepted for your Hacktoberfest profile. And at the end of Hacktoberfest, the last years, you always get a T-shirt and a little bag of stickers from DigitalOcean and Intel and Dev2 and so on. I don't know what happens this year. Last year, we were also able to plant 100 trees instead of a T-shirt. So yeah, it's just a great moment to start with open source, because also the maintainers will be prepared and open for smarter pull requests and just accept them. So if you have no idea where to start with open source, I'm a Laravel PHP developer, so all Cs are Laravel and PHP focused. If you do any other languages, I just can recommend you to check out GitHub, trending repositories, for example. And here's a list of some Laravel-based ones. So most of them are organizations, and I also added Ryan because Ryan does really great packages for Laravel and PHP, and also some Alpine.js, just with his own name and not in an organization. So you can check out all of them. All of them are kind and accept pull requests in most times. So if this list wasn't enough, you can also check out the search on openda.me. We have a list of the organizations indexed by Openda, and you can see we have over 1,400 organizations in the list. You can search by language and also name, and try to find some with your tech stack in the background and some open source repositories for it. So I have only to say, try and do open source, because it's really great and you don't have much to lose except some of your time. And most of us spend their time on coding with or without open source. So there isn't much to lose. And thank you for listening. And we will see us in the issues and pull requests. And if you have any questions about open source, you can ask them now, or you can send me some messages later. I will be available to help and respond to them. So that was it. And
Okay. Yep. Okay. That was awesome, man. That was awesome. Okay, so I saw that you segregated the things, right? Like texter, artist, and then developer, designers, something like that. Yeah, it was really interesting. To be honest, I didn't know about this. I was only knowing that a developer can just add some code and that's it. That is the contribution, right?
Yeah, so this most times why I've added it. Most people think that open source is only for developers, but there's everything around it. And I can tell you that even the best open source packages don't get known and used without some kind of marketing. So that's why I've added the artists as well, and texters and blog posts and all this stuff, because if you use a package you like, telling others about it is a great way to share the work the maintainer has spent to it, and also the contributors, and get it known and improve its usage. And this is also a great way to to ensure that this package will be maintained for a longer time, because otherwise it could be that the maintainer just says, okay, 5 users and a lot of work, so just drop it and end of life. And yeah, if you have some money available most times in your company, tell your tech lead or boss, CTO, whatever, to think about spending some money on GitHub sponsors, for example, or on Patreon. And it doesn't have to be a lot. So if every company would spend like $50 or $100 per month, it will change the whole life of open source maintainers, because primary maintainers, but also contributors, have to spend time. They most times all have a full-time job. And if they get some money and it reaches a given level, they can talk to their boss and say, okay, I will work 1 day less, for example, per week, per month, whatever, and do open source in this time.
Yeah, it's. I totally agree with this. Yeah, the CTOs and CEOs should do something like this to just contribute to the open source people. Yeah, the people who contribute to the open source. You touched upon really different topics in the talk. So I have noticed like there should be a few like I have to talk about like 2-3 things. Like you said that communicate that you want it. So like whenever I've seen people like people will just PR it and then maintainer don't want it and then PR gets rejected or something like that. So it's really good, right? So
yeah. So if it's a small thing like fixing a typo in the README, you don't have to say, I want to fix this typo. Just fix it. But as soon as you do bigger changes, like adding features, bug fixes, and so on, it's always good to drop an issue first and say, okay, I found this bug. I also want to work on it. So inform the maintainer there is a bug, inform the maintainer there's also already one working on it. So the maintainer knows, okay, I can merge a pull request in 3 days, a week or something like that, and it is fixed. Otherwise, the maintainer possibly thinks about working on it, or on bigger repositories, it could be that people have subscribed to issues and they will jump in like, hey, I want to contribute, so I will work on it. And you, I already have the fix here. And yeah, this is also always a bad situation for the maintainer, because he is the final person having to decide which PR gets merged, and prevents the situation by saying that you want to work it. And it's also not a problem if you want to work on it and also start to work on it and feel after a few days or a week or something like that you don't have the time because of some changes in your life, or you get ill or whatever. Just say, I don't have any time more, I'm out, and possibly drop your changes. So it can always help. Like I've done it in a few cases when I've worked on it. I've dropped my whole file and the issues. Like, this is what I got. I have no idea how to proceed from here, but if this helps someone, it's cool. If not, also fine. So
and
it's an open source community and a team.
Yeah, exactly, like a team. So like for example, let's imagine that someone wants to, like someone in the chat or someone who is viewing this talk, so he wants to contribute and he wants to like ask maintainer. So what is the right way to ask, like where to ask, like in the create some thread or create some issue and then ask the person, or like what is the best way? What do you think?
Yeah, in general, I would say open an issue is the best way. Some repositories have switched to the new GitHub discussions. Also fine, but you should put it on GitHub. Don't spam the maintainer on Twitter or even Telegram or emails. This is the worst way to do it. And also send them an email like, hey, I've sent you a pull request 2 weeks ago. Can you review it? No, do it on GitHub and be always kind, because you don't know what happens in their life. And yes, the only exception is if you have found a real security issue. Most of the repositories have a dedicated security section in the README with an email address in most cases where you have to send it, so that the security issue doesn't get published before it's fixed. So not all users of this package get a risk because there is a security issue published without a fix.
Right. That was actually important. So when let's suppose if there is a security vulnerability, and then we can just like we should not create PR or something. So it will be detected. So we can just send the email to the maintainer. And also I've seen that in the Laravel we have Laravel ideas, right? So something like that, Laravel/ideas, and then we discuss the things. Yeah.
Exactly. So for new ideas, really large things like Laravel, for example, have dedicated repositories. But if you have smaller things, not in need of a full discussion, you can also send a straight pull request to the Laravel project itself.
Right, right. Also, you mentioned about resolve like code comments, like changes. So sometimes I've seen it many times. So if someone is like suggesting few changes, at that moment, people mostly usually directly like close the PR itself. So they don't just resolve the things, and they might get hurt like something like that, and then they drop it. So it is also not good. So we should be like be kind to the maintainer, and because we are typing in the chat, so it's not like clear that how what are the intentions of the people. So it's better that Jeffrey way shared some time ago, so that we should always be kind, because we are just doing chatting. We don't know the intentions of the people, so just just give it like someone is talking in a good sense, like just take it like that. So it's good.
So in the issues, we don't see your face, we don't have your pronunciation, so we don't understand if it's sarcasm or real. We only see what you have written, and be clear and kind in your comments.
Yeah, exactly. And also you mentioned about the description, right? So I remember that I created one PR for Laravel activity, and 2 3 months back I was writing something, and after 2 3 months I don't know what that PR was. So it's always good to write some good description. So after 2 3 months when you visit, so you should be able to remember what was that.
I think this is the biggest difference to your day job in a company, is that open source doesn't have this sprint kind of thing. So if you open a pull request, it can be merged 1 hour later, but it can also take a month or even a whole year sometimes, or sometimes even never. So the only thing you can do is kindly ask the maintainer. Sometimes they have just read the notification without really reading it. So I think we all know it opens the issues, opens the email. Okay, I close it and forgot about it. This also happens with maintainers. And sometimes there's also a clear decision behind it without communicating it, or there were just other things on the road. So yeah.
Yeah, right. So let's move to the next event, and let me add people in the chat, and then we move forward with the Q&A round. And before jumping, so I would like to give you guys a small reminder that if you complete that feedback form, so at the end there's a surprise. You will get a free ebook. So please share your feedbacks, and it will be really helpful for us to make these events as much as possible as correct, right? Yeah. Okay. So let me join Krish and Nishant. Hey, hi
Yeah.
guys.
Hello.
Hey, hi. Quite a good presentation by Nishant and Tom. So yeah, it was quite a good, interesting, and quite a learning topics.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's jump to the questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me check the chats. Enterprise. Steven had one question, right? Okay. Okay. So here's the question. So I believe you guys cannot see it, so I will read it for you. So how does the performance increases related to the amount of work done in one request? It is for Swoole. Nishant, your views.
Okay. Could you please repeat the question? Uh,
How does the performance increase
mhm.
related to amount of work done in a one request? So in a one request, how it is improved?
Okay. Okay. So as I explained, that whenever Swoole server started, then it preloads your application into the memory. Okay, I mean to say that your application is already bootstrapped into the memory, and all the requests are served from the memory itself. So it responds fast as compared to the normal Nginx and PHP FPM setup. So yeah, that's our answer of that question.
Okay, so sorry, I lost you at the
Okay,
last.
so let me repeat it.
Yeah.
As I already explained that whenever Swoole server started, then it preloads your application into the memory. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I mean your application is already bootstrapped into the memory, and all the requests are served from the memory itself. So it responds fast as compared to the normal Nginx and PHP API. So that's a reason for that.
Okay, so for what you're saying is that all the processes are already cached,
Yeah.
and that's why the single request will also get increased, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
performance of the
Correct.
single
Correct.
request.
So that's our answer
Yeah.
to that
Okay.
question. Okay.
Yeah.
If I can
Tom?
intercept, so I think the major improvement is that the framework you are using, independent if it's Symfony, Laravel, or whatever, doesn't have to boot, and the booting part is a lot of
Is
times
already
not
done.
really, not really, yeah, known about in the performance debugging process, because it's like, yeah, it's hidden somewhere and you don't know about it. There's only my controller doing this. But the whole framework has to boot. So in Laravel, for example, registering all the service providers, doing the register and boot logic in there. And this takes some milliseconds. And if you have a high load application with 10,000, 100,000 requests, this quickly sums up. So I know it from Openda, for example, from the different perspective of a queue. If you have jobs running 100,000 times per hour or minute or whatever, sees even 1 millisecond quickly sums up to an hour or 2 hours, and this is the time you are saving.
Okay, so Tiyun has one follow-up question. So let me read that out. So like what happens? So if the request itself is very small compared to like it's not compared to the booting, so will it get a performance boost?
Yes, definitely. Because whenever Swoole server started, then it bootstrapped all the things, all the applications, the core logic will be bootstrapped in the memory. So that's why, yes, definitely, it will increase the performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts, Krish, Tom?
Yeah, so basically, I would like to add few things here. When we are talking about the performance, so this performance, yeah, of course, there are two aspects. Like we talk about the performance with respect to the single request, and the performance with regards to an overall application. So when I'm talking about overall application, so then you have multiple requests are in processing due to different types, different workers available via Swoole. So eventually, if you try to measure the performance impact within a single request, and when you have multiple requests in place, then I would say that performance impact or performance increase would be more visible, because when you compare multiple requests at a time, of course, probably in a single request, you definitely see improvement, like our colleague Nishant said. But yeah, overall, when we say it also boosts the performance, so it boosts the performance on an overall application execution level, which can handle multiple requests via different types of workers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I
I,
also think that. So when we have multiple requests, then it will have some performance impact. But if there is
Exactly.
only one single request, so
So it
it's
is in a
negligible.
layman term. I mean, in a layman term, I would just correlate it with let's say JIT compiler, which is introduced in PHP 8. So let's say if I'm running very small script with JIT compiler, it won't show me a
Right.
major performance impact, because anyways JIT is not made keeping in mind those type of scripts. So slight comparison, so slightly similar to that nature, I would say.
yeah, I think the last comments by Maidu Ino are also pretty important. With Swoole or any other like Roadrunner, your application keeps alive the whole time and it doesn't change the behavior of PHP. So, for example, static properties keep alive. And also singletons keep alive. So if you have designed singletons to keep alive only during one request or one console command, in Laravel, I think there was added the scoped singleton method on the container to do so.
Container, yeah.
But there are some things you possibly have to change if you switch to Swoole, Octane, Roadrunner, whatever, because your PHP keeps running all the time, and sometimes this isn't what you want.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, there are some pitfalls as well. So yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so
when we are using Swoole or something, so Swoole or Roadrunner, so we have to be careful, and we should be like monitoring like what we are doing and what should be done actually. So we should be in the control instead
So
of the.
definitely we should use it in a wisely manner, I would say, because it is not made for, like I said, very small request, I would say, and of course it is more dependent on the amount of requests you are going to have, the amount of asynchronous needs you need, because a few requests might not need asynchronous call, definitely, right? So then it all depends on the requirement and the way you want to use it, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So, Maidino, thank you for helping us with the answers. Yeah. So, doing the answers in the chat. Yeah. Thank you so much. Let's move to the next question. So, next question is from Pushpak, and he's asking, what is the difference between PHP Fiber and Swoole?
Okay,
Yeah.
PHP
Yeah.
Fiber. So I think PHP Fiber is going to introduce in PHP 8.1 in upcoming release. So the difference is like Swoole supports the native curl you already know, and all the PHP libraries based on the curl. Okay, and the PHP Fibers RFC can only be used to make an HTTP client with the use of a third-party PHP package. So that is the difference between the Swoole and the Swoole coroutines and PHP fibers. So yeah, that is the difference between the Swoole and PHP fibers.
And
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I hope Pushpak, Chris, you want to add something?
yeah, just a small point I would like to add to these points as well. Of course, it also is more towards like how it's getting executed. So like fiber, like switching complexities. So, in case of fibers, you need to handle those events. While in case of Swoole, it provides the switcher itself, where you need not to worry of those events in a nutshell.
Yeah, yeah. So coroutines are handled quite wisely in the
Yeah,
school.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. Okay, I hope Pushpak, you have your answer. There's another follow-up question. So why we should not use native PHP 8 fibers?
Okay, yeah, that is a good
From
question. So I
Pushpak.
think, as I already said, that PHP fibers can only be used to make an HTTP client with the use of third-party PHP package. But yeah, Swoole supports uh, TCP and UDP server-side protocol. Okay, it is written in C and C++, so it is completely compiled. Okay, and Swoole supports many features, like it also supports a daemon. Okay, so daemon is something like a process which runs in a background. So there are so many features which is provided by Swoole. So that's why we should go with the Swoole instead of PHP fibers. Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
Tom, you want to add anything?
No.
No, no. Okay, Krish.
No, I think
And
Nishant has already covered what he
yeah,
said.
yeah. And actually, Pushpak is already satisfied, so he said thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks. Yeah,
yeah.
Good to
Thanks,
hear.
man.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the next question. So next question is from Vinod. So that does that Swoole? Let me share it on the screen. Okay. Yeah. Does it support horizontal scaling? Swoole.
Okay, so to be honest, that I don't know about it. Like it supports horizontal scaling or not, but definitely I will check and I will reply on the chat, yeah, in the comment
Yeah.
box.
Cool.
Yeah.
So overall, I would say here we need to check definitely, but like I said, vertical scaling is definitely supported by PHP.
Yeah,
So,
definitely supported. Yes.
that is definitely supported by Spool as well. Horizontal scaling, when we talk, means increasing the servers and all those stuff. So I'm not sure 100% at this point of time, but probably it should be supported. The reason I'm just with the logical aspect, I'm talking at the point of this time, because in basically in Swoole, all these requests are being handled by workers, basically. So multiple workers are responsible for handling the request. So that's why it gives me a feeling that it should be feasible, in my opinion, or probably we might not need as well, even if it's feasible. So that is why we need to give it a try, and we need to check against it.
I can say that Swoole or Octane definitely supports horizontal scaling, but possibly not in the way you wanted it. So the way it supports it if you have a real load balancer in front
Exactly.
and just splitting the request. So first request gets to server A, second to server B, and you will have two different Swoole instances not knowing about each other, only connected via possibly your Redis instance and MySQL, Postgres, whatever. But everything inside of the Swoole instances will be inside of the Swoole. What would be cool if you could have the Swoole master somewhere and instead of the load balancer and passing to nodes. But this is also something I have no idea. But having a real load balancer in front and only passing to different Swooles is definitely possible.
Actually, I also have a few points to add. So let's suppose if we are doing horizontal scaling. So at that time, when the requests are coming, so we have a lot of requests. So at that moment, like we will create some new pods, like in the Kubernetes clusters, right? So at that moment, if you have already a structure like that or infrastructure like that, so architecture like that, so it's not required. But if I think like if there is application and that is on the K8 cluster, okay, so one pod can serve 38 requests, as Nishan showed, right? And now if I use Swoole inside that single pod, so it will serve 300 plus, right?
Yeah, more requests, in fact.
So I'm not sure. Like I'm just thinking on the fly. So yeah,
Yeah,
we will.
it is more based on relating the data sets which we have at this point of time, like the comparisons which is shown by Nishant, and the logically how it has been working so far, especially in terms of workers handling the requests. So this gives a feeling definitely that it should be feasible in horizontal
Yeah.
scaling. But yeah, definitely eventually it needs to be given a try.
Yeah, yeah. And Vinod said thanks. So I hope that he is satisfied with the answers. Yeah. Thank you so much for asking the questions. Let's jump to the next one. And it is really interesting from Vinod only. So it is for you, Tom. What are your thoughts on Microsoft acquiring GitHub? A commercial organization will control an open source. It's a threat to community, right? So or
Yeah.
opportunities.
Well, it
Yeah.
seems we know this quite fan of Microsoft.
I think at the beginning there was like a bit of panic, and a lot of people have asked this question, what will happen to GitHub? And primarily because of things Microsoft did with Windows, for example, and other projects they have. But I didn't had this bad feeling from the beginning, and also don't have it yet. Because Microsoft is also a big part of open source, so they have some really large and big and well-known and used open source projects, starting with VS Code, for example, Playwright, to do browser end-to-end testing and stuff like that. And yeah, it would be a bit strange if they would close GitHub to be like private source only on paid projects, because they have their own projects on there. And from what they did the last, I don't know, was it acquired 2 years or 3 years ago? But what they did during this time was a lot of improvements for GitHub, because what they did was spending a ton of Microsoft money on GitHub and saying, okay, you don't have to care about it. Here's the money, do cool stuff. And not only cool stuff for GitHub internal and secret things and enterprise users, but for everyone. So starting with GitHub Actions, for example. I don't know how GitHub Plans was before Microsoft got in, but because of this very similarity between GitHub Actions and Microsoft Azure pipelines, I assume that was a big part of Microsoft driving GitHub Actions forward. So I think that Microsoft has a positive impact on GitHub and open source community, but for sure you have also always be careful if commercial or private organizations take over public stuff. I'm more conflicted and serious about the international domain organizations, for example, owned and controlled by private organizations, because we already had a lot of conflicts there. Than Microsoft acquiring GitHub.
Yeah, actually, his question was about. I think you have noises, right? Is it my voice is correct, right? Okay.
Yeah.
A bit of
Okay. I
noise
think
in
his
the
question was
background.
about like let's suppose GitHub is acquired by Microsoft, right? And then if I contribute to the open source, so that contributed code is also handled by GitHub. And let's suppose someday GitHub decides that nothing is open source. It's gone, it's vanished. So it's kind of like a threat, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So for sure, it can always happen that something disappears on the internet from one to the other second. But even if Microsoft would do such things, they would have a notice period, and all maintainers would switch to GitLab, for example, spin up their own GitLab instances or whatever. So at all, open source won't disappear. The only thing Microsoft would do with it is like a very, very, very big red flag on their brand. So I think no open source contributor or maintainer would ever go back to any Microsoft product if they would do it. So I think it's more like a marketing thing for Microsoft and their products in the open source and developer ecosystem, because before they had a very hard time for open source and developers because Windows was most times only used to do C# and .NET things. And for every other developers, it's what like Linux or Windows, not or Mac. And I think they wanted to get a step into developer ecosystem and community with acquiring GitHub, and also promoting VS Code, for example, and also the Azure services. Yeah. I don't hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I was muted. There are some childrens running here and there. Okay. Childrens are childrens. Yeah. Okay. So I believe that we have covered all the questions. So it's a quiz time, right? So let me share the link in the chat. And please, guys, if you have, okay, I'm pressing the wrong thing. Give me 1 second. Let me open it anyway. Okay. So this is the link. Link is pretty big. I don't know why. Sorry. Give me 1 second. Sometimes copy pasting doesn't work. Okay. So yeah. So I've shared a quiz link, okay, with you guys, and this quiz is only available like 6 p.m. Dutch time and 9:30 p.m. Indian time. So please fill this quiz. At the end, once we have there's question. Okay. At the end, once we choose the winner, there will be some cool, surprising reward. So please fill that quiz, and also please fill the feedback form. And that feedback will be really helpful for us to like grow more, understand more about the meetups, and like improve our meetups day by day. And then we have one another comment. They have done the same for GitHub pilot. Okay, so Pushpak is saying that they have done the same thing for the GitHub pilot,
Yeah.
acquiring the things and all the stuff.
Before we start with the quiz, I have to intercept you because I have to leave you all now. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Said
I
I have
had
to
two
leave early,
questions. Okay.
but
Yep.
I have my next meeting now and I have to get away.
Okay. Yeah, that's understandable. That's understandable. Yeah. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much for joining. It
No
was
problem.
great talk, and we learned many things. Yep. Yep.
So, all of you, good luck with the quiz and have fun with the prizes and have a nice stream.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So now we are only three left
Yeah.
in the podium. Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Great talk. Okay. So please share your feedback. Please fill in the quiz forms. There is exciting surprise for you. There's exciting reward for you. So please fill that quiz form. And I think let's move to the next thing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's talk. And to make this happen, I would like to thanks Eastern Enterprise, our speakers Tom and Nishan. Tom is already left, so yeah, but I already thanked him. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So thank you so much, guys. I would like to thank Eastern Enterprise. I would like to thank our speakers, Dom and Nishant, our tech architect, Krish, to represent Eastern Enterprise ideologies, and our special volunteers, Akshay Ithape and Srirang Joshi. Thank you so much, guys. You were doing some background works, which is really important for us. Thank you so much. We will be planning such events quite often. Okay, so please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. So if you subscribe to it, so you will get the notifications of the upcoming events and meetups. Our next meetup would be on JS, JavaScript, and it could be on November 3rd or November 4th, or maybe in the December as well. So it's better to just subscribe to that channel, so you will just get the notifications, right? So stay tuned, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhushan,
Yeah,
for hosting this event as well. And yeah,
yeah,
it was nice. And I hope everyone has enjoyed it. And
mhm,
yeah, please stay tuned. And yeah,
yeah,
see you soon again.
yeah. Shirang is
Okay.
happy.
Thank you.
Shirang is smiling.
Okay.
Okay, we couldn't see Akshay. Akshay is there. Akshay is not there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much. Hasta la
Okay.
vista. See you next time.
Yeah. Thank
Bye
you. Thank you, Bhushan.
bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye bye.